Welcome to Diálogos Season 2.
AfroLatinidad Out Loud.
I'm Gabriela Watson-Burkett, your co-host of Diálogos. We have a new guest co-host and a new format. So welcome, Debora, Charmelus.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here and to be your co-host today. This season, we're focused on the Afro-Latine identity. What does it mean? Each episode, we're going to be talking to a creator, a thinker, or an artist who really exemplifies this identity and really getting to better understand where they're coming from and how it ties into their work.
Yes, and the name of the season that you came up with, AfroLatinidad Out Loud. And we're so excited to talk about the intersections of Blackness and Latinidad and with people that we love doing amazing work.
Yes, and we're here today at the beautiful Julia de Burgos bookstore at Taller Puerto Riqueño. We're really excited to be here and highlight this incredible third space, and also give out some book recommendations that are coming up at the end of the episode.
Love it. And our guest today, it's Wi-Moto, a filmmaker. She's an amazing artist.
We're going to be talking to Wi-Moto about the horror genre, what does it mean to be Black in this genre, and how do we as creators enter into a world that is seemingly limitless, but, has its own barriers.
Stay tuned for the conversation.
We hope you enjoy it. Wi-Moto Nyoka is an Afro-Mexican horror and sci-fi interdisciplinary artist and the founder of Dusky Projects, a production company creating genre work for young adults and adult audiences. She's an Ignite Award winner for Best Fiction Podcast and a Nightmare Film Festival Best Short Story Screenplay Award winner. Her next film recently premiered at the Winter Film Festival in New York City, and her latest published work appears in Latin American Shared Stories from Flame Tree Publishing. Available now. Wi-Moto, welcome to AfroLatinidad Out Loud.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, of
Out
course.
loud.
Seriously, we cannot be quiet.
Now is not the time for that.
Yeah. Well, it's been awesome getting to know you a little bit more,
Mhm.
speaking a little bit to your work, but we know what we're here to talk about today.
Yeah.
We're
right.
here to talk about our identity and how it shows up in our work. So I'm just gonna get into it.
Okay.
How does Afro-Latinidad show up in your creative work? Is it intentional? Is it instinctive? Maybe a little bit of both?
I would say for a long time it was instinctive. And it was also both instinctive and compartmentalized.
Mm-hmm.
I think, my background is in music theater, but that wasn't really what was happening in my house, right? So I was a backup singer for my tia. She had
Nice.
this salsa band called La Mayor Salsa. So I grew up listening to salsa, cumbia, merengues, and obviously then like boleros and things like this, and
Mhm.
singing with her. And that was like my job as a high schooler. So I'd be in these clubs. There was rules, like I wasn't allowed to leave the stage sometime. I can't go anywhere near the bar because I'm like an underage performer. So
Yeah.
this part of me was separate from anything that I was doing in any arts program that I was in. And especially when I went to undergrad, I went to University of the Arts for music theater. Latine people don't exist up until recently. In music theater besides like
Yeah.
maybe West Side Story. So, like
Yeah, or Lin-Manuel Miranda.
yeah, but that wasn't out then. So
Yeah.
like really, you have to be the one making it,
Mhm.
forging a path for you to exist. So for a very long time, it was separate. It
Yeah.
was kind of secret. And it wasn't until I really started writing and composing on my own that I began to put that. It had to be a part of it is a part of my influence. It is a part of my work.
Mhm.
But it was not intentional. It was very instinctual, and I just didn't even really know really articulate or how to leverage it. I don't know if that's really the right word, but like be into like you to what you were saying, intentional. How to be intentional about it. What do I think about it?
Yeah.
Because there was just so much like straddling and code switching depending on where I was, what environment I was in. Am I the only one? And like, just a lot of people just didn't even want to believe that Afro-Latinas exist. So
Yeah.
it came down to like, do I even want to explain again what an Afro-Latina is? How, like, how, the whole like, what are you question? And I don't even know why people ask
Ask
that,
that. Yeah.
especially when if they don't understand history, you then suddenly are at a party giving a TED talk, or they're like, "Well, how are there a lot of black people in Mexico?" And I'm like, "Well, actually, like you got to
Yeah.
do this whole thing." And like, it's kind of amazing how people don't know their own history, I mean, and not. I guess it's not amazing. Currently in a place where they're trying to ban and redact everything. So
Yeah.
it's, I guess it makes sense that we don't have all the facts and we don't know how things intersect and
Mhm.
overlap. Um,
Well, especially in media,
yeah,
in media that's coming from the United States,
right.
the like Latino identity is so limited.
Yeah.
And, we're meant to, think that we should be grateful with the amount that we're given, but our stories are so vast and so varied. So you spoke a little bit about how kind of musical theater was your inspiration. How did that eventually lead to Dusky Projects?
Um, I mean, it was what I got my undergrad in. So I don't know if it even really inspired me because because my background, what was happening was again like salsa, merengue, cumbia. Like these were the
Mhm.
musical influences along with like obviously soul and R&B and hip hop. And
Yeah,
it was so I would say that like music theater gave me a good framework, technique,
yeah.
and it gave me rules to break.
Mhm. I love
So I would
that.
say like I'm gonna hand it to that. Like that was a really great structured training, and being deep in that was really good to learn why I want to do what I want to do. And when I started writing my own musicals and putting hip hop and songs in Spanish and songs in English and writing bilingual things, that's when the intention really started to form and take shape. So I'm thankful for that technique, if only to abandon it.
Exactly. No, that's the best part. You gotta learn how to do it and then just tear it all down.
Yeah, yeah, but
Yeah,
if it then it's strategy, right? If you
yeah.
don't know how you're tearing it down, then you're just kind of like, ah.
Well, it's also dissecting too, because you realize that those musical theater styles, they are pulling from gospel. They
Mm,
are pulling from boleros even.
yeah, yeah,
They,
yeah.
the dramatics. I mean, who does dramatics better than the Latin American community? You know
Right,
what I
right,
mean?
right. Yeah,
So,
they are kind of telenovelas. Like,
yeah.
and there's a thing, when you learn about music theater history, it was this very like edgy, racy, avant-garde. Like most of those songs were popular songs. The American Songbook, those songs were on the radio.
Yeah.
So it really wasn't until after the rock musical, right? Like after 60s, 70s, when it really starts to become like its own genre and
Mhm.
not necessarily always responding to what's happening.
Mhm.
I was surprised when I learned the history of it, of like, this was not that. This was an edgy kind of punk rock
Yeah.
uh art form, and then it was commodified, right?
Exactly.
Um,
Exactly. Yeah. And made into something different. Well, you spoke a little bit about like what kind of like made you want to, tear things apart.
mm,
But what does it mean to you to kind of build something? You're building something
mm.
completely new, and obviously getting recognition for it, especially being like, coming from this Afro-Latina identity. Like, what are you building and who are you building it for?
Yeah, so Dusky Projects was first just kind of a handle that where everything that I was doing was very like patchwork, was just under that. And it was
Yeah.
named after this rebellious superhero alter ego that I had invented for myself in this mixed media uh, project called The Last Days of Cardica.
Okay. Tell me
Um,
a little bit more.
Oh, so this was when I was in a funk soul hip hop collective, and I
Okay,
was living
nice.
abroad.
As
So I
one
was,
does.
as one does. And that started actually here in Philly. So, Philly is such a great place for musicians, for independent musicians, for
Oh,
independent
yeah.
hip hop, for independent anything. And
Mhm.
it's a great music city. I feel like, I don't know if I feel like people know this, but I'm just gonna lift it up again. Like Philly makes a lot of great music, and a lot of great influential musicians come out of
Oh,
Philadelphia.
yeah, definitely. It's so significant. And I always say Philly's the city that emails back. So if you want to, if you
Yes.
actually want to build something, come to Philadelphia and there will be people there who will like
Show
actually
up.
want to
Yeah.
show up and support you. Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of the few cities
Mhm.
that still has that like we gonna do it and we gonna be all right. And it's
Yeah.
still and people will show up because they don't know what it is, as opposed to like a lot of other places where I think it's just the price wall is just I can't go unless I know exactly what's gonna happen.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly. Exactly. And you know, in Philly, it's going to be good.
I was going to ciphers and I was jamming out and I was they were not about battle rap, so it was just all about improv, which was nice. That was the rule. It was like no battle rapping. Everybody just has to be here and join.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of rappers and musicians and nobody can sing. So I started to just become a fixture there because I was one of the few singers and I would then just make up a hook. Like people would be rhyming and rhyming and rhyming. And I would catch something, and then I'd be like, okay, this is the hook, and then the whole thing would kind of take shape. And
Mhm.
that was how I joined a collective and ended up leaving the country for a while and working with producers in Germany and Hungary.
Amazing.
Um, and I started writing and composing music. So that, you have to have you gotta have a stage name. So my
Yeah.
so my alter ego was Dusky Diana, and I made it this whole like city for her, and
I
she was
love
a
it.
superhero. She was a contested superhero, right? So some people thought that she was helping, and other people thought she was hurting, and that was what the
Mm.
whole piece was going to be about. It was going to be about this rebel group that goes from this grassroots organization to an enemy of the state, and following that trajectory of when you start out that way of like we're helping the community, and then when it begins to escalate and everyone's in danger because you are pushing back against an institution, and
Yeah, the status quo.
when do you choose violence, and like what does that
Mhm.
mean then? So it was meant to do all that, and it was a huge project, and it was way too big, and I don't know what I was thinking because I didn't know what I was doing. And I had no plan. It was too instinctual. So like, there's links to it on my website, but it is kind of all over the place. um but it got me into grad school. I did some things there,
Yeah.
and then that ended up being Dusky Projects, and so there's still always like that sentiment in there.
Yeah.
That like it was mixed media, so it had a lot of motion comics. So I always have like a kind of visual. I like messing with illustration. I still do that now
Mhm.
in my work. It was a fictitious place with these larger than life characters and these magical things that were happening. And so I think that's, where it's like, okay, Dusky Project is going to do genre. Like it all just eventually funneled into there,
Yeah.
So yeah, Dusky Projects, I make horror and sci-fi. I do some magic realism as well,
Nice.
but it's all in immersive theater, audio, and film. And I work with, lots of artists all over the country, all over actually the world. I like to work with other people in other countries. It's all BIPOC. It's celebrating and producing that the people of the global majority. Let's say
Yeah.
that. Because I just, didn't want to be the only one in the room.
Mhm.
I don't want to do that anymore. And so once I started to move into writing and producing, I had a say in that.
Mhm.
And then there was also a lot of people that I just, I'm like, they're so great and no one's giving them work. No one's hiring them. No one's asking them to do this kind of role. And I think they'd be great. And so it was just one of those things where I was like, well, you can complain
Mhm. Or you can
or
get it
you
done.
can do it, and like
Yeah.
once the you could do it started, it like snowballed. Like the first time I ever wrote anything and figured out how to get it into something and actually put it up on its feet, and something that I made up was over there, and I
Mhm.
was watching people do it, and they inhabited, and I was like, "This feels like magic." It was like sorcery. I was like, "Abracadabra! I am Potter!" So like
Exactly. You can take
totally.
something out of your mind and bring
Yeah,
it into reality.
no, it felt it's strange and it's
Yeah.
amazing, and it's, authorship is, um I always say authorship is very powerful.
Mhm.
And it is a kind of sorcery,
It's
and
it's
once you
manifestation.
yeah, once you do it, it's hard to go back after that. It's hard to give that up and be like, okay, now I'm just gonna like give it over to somebody else and just wait for my turn. I can't do that anymore.
Exactly, especially if the turn doesn't come.
Yeah.
You gotta make it yourself. And I really like what you were saying about like Dusky Diana, like the kind of duality of not knowing who's the hero. Cause
Mm.
so many times in as we look back on history, like Afro-Latinidad people were painted as savages, when really they were revolutionaries.
Yeah.
And, I think about Dessalines, who was like the Haitian forefather, and he has an exact quote basically saying, like, I'm going to summarize it, but he basically said, I don't care what the people of today think of me. History is going to know me as a hero.
Mm.
And so often we struggle with kind of this, like, uh, worrying about how we're represented and feeling like we need to represent ourselves in a
Yeah.
certain way.
Yeah.
But this is why I love the work you're doing. It's because, you're showing that we can be represented in a duality, be represented in so many different ways.
Yeah, it just, you can only wear a dress that doesn't fit for so long. And just after a while, I was like, I can't even zip this thing up. Like, and that's
Yeah.
how it felt. And I was like, I have to breathe. I have to take this corset off. So all of this work is that. And it was really, and it was also like a call. Like, I'm like putting the lighthouse on and being like, who else feels this way? And I was really looking for my tribe, especially with like the podcast Black Women Are Scary. I'm like, who else is a Black woman who likes scary story? I just was like, if I make this thing, if I build it, maybe they'll come. It's one of those things. To just find my peers. Again, it was just kind of getting fed up of being the only one and being told like, oh, that's so weird, that's so different, or you're so unique, or I've never heard of this, or how many, just all the ways.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't. That's impossible. I can't be the only one, and I wasn't.
Yeah. I mean, that kind of goes perfectly in to my next question because, horror and sci-fi, they're meant to be these genres that are meant to push the envelope,
Mm.
but we don't really see ourselves in it. So
Mm.
how much can it really push things? I guess, thinking about Black Women Are Scary, how do you kind of think about solidarity in the work that you're doing? Do you feel like being able to express yourself in this way where the there is no limits, there's the work you create is limitless? Does that allow you to connect to people who feel similarly?
Yeah, I mean, I think, once you make a safe space for Black women,
Mm-hmm.
and I say Black using I mean the entire diaspora,
Yeah.
once you do that, everyone else is gonna be safe,
Yeah.
right? It's
Agreed.
like Black and Indigenous women, if there's equity and care for those groups, it has a domino effect. So I knew like if I do this, it will reach many people. And it did, it's not just, I mean, it's mostly, I will say, like in front and behind the mic, you will find Black women in that podcast, right? So it was also very important to me that like who is directing, who is the voice actor. But when writing, it's Black women from all over. It's also Asian American folks. I don't know if I got any Indigenous writers. I was looking for some, but like, I really wanted to show like all the different kinds of spooky stories from all over the world, all these different cultures, like everybody's boogeyman. And I would say that like also the genre itself,
Mm-hmm.
um, you're not supposed to talk about what scares you.
Yeah.
So already there's solidarity in just being like, hey, I'm inviting you to tell me what scares you. And it's like, okay, right? Yeah, so like right now we already have like an intimacy that we've cultivated. And then because it's not centering maleness and not centering whiteness, um, it is inherently challenging the status quo. If I tell you what I'm scared of, it's going to be so different.
Yeah.
Horror is a very political genre
Let's talk about
because we're
it.
talking about what you are scared of, and you're telling on yourself the minute you do that.
Yeah.
So like, and also in sci-fi the same way, it's like you are projecting into the future, and once you do that, you're also conveying and communicating a belief system. So whoever is absent, you just, whether you like it or not, you've admitted something.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Um
Or whoever dies first.
whoever
That
dies,
says a lot
right,
too.
who doesn't get to say anything. So like
Yeah.
just by making that particular kind of genre work, which I always consider to be outsider art anyway,
Mm.
um, I'm already coming at it as like, we are other, and I'm embracing that. I'm saying like, yeah, we are other, and here's the space for this. And then in turn it can challenge. And why is this other?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. When we are the global majority, it's
Right.
hardly an other, but we've been made to feel like
Right.
we're another, especially in media here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so there's part of that, and then equity is in the description of what it is that I'm doing. So whenever I'm fundraising or getting grants, it's like I am paying people, I'm paying myself, I'm paying these professionals, and I think that that's like also a significant part of it in terms of building solidarity, just money,
Yeah.
actual like money, access to resources, and saying this is worthy of that.
Yeah.
um, and that's been a journey as well to just to assert that and to say like, okay, I'm gonna do this much because this is what I can afford, rather than like I'm gonna do more with less, which was a thing I did for a while because I
Yes.
thought that that's how it was supposed to be, and now I'm like, no, I'm gonna do more with more.
Exactly. Well, can you speak a little bit to that? I would love to hear, you know, so often we are thought to be so often we're told to be scrappy.
Mm.
We're told to just, work with what we have. In your experience as an artist, how do you feel about like the opportunities that you've been given, and how do you kind of enter into that abundance mindset?
It was hard. And for a very long time, I did not think that way. I
Yeah.
really did was like, I'm going to do more with less. And it was just so difficult to even really build community or foster solidarity or foster any kind of care when you're scrambling. I look back at that now and I'm like, yeah, there was a lot of like partnerships and collaborations that fell out that wasn't even able to really articulate what it is that I wanted or needed. So a lot of push and pull because everything is feels like it's you're underwater, or you're about to be, so after running myself into the ground and burning out, I was like, I think this time what I'm going to do is if I don't have the resources to do the big thing, I'm going to take a part of it. I'll do like this part here. And so I started to go deep instead of wide.
Okay.
And then I also started to rethink like, well, when I say resources, what do I mean? Do I just mean money? Or can I start to barter? Can I start to trade? So this is me just really like thinking about how things got done in my family, how things get done in my community, and really
Exactly.
being like, is it always that we have money, or is it that we have so and so has the space and so has this and blah blah blah, and then like what are they getting out of it? And started to like approach it in this way and be very transparent with people.
Mhm.
Like, this is what I'm doing. I don't have this, but I do have this. How do you feel? And obviously getting consent, right?
Yeah.
Um, and then once you start doing that, you then begin to attract folks who are like, yeah, I will do this in exchange for this. Like, I think it's just about being clear. Uh yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think that's what happened is that I got clear, and I also think that there was something else going on of just being in, my work as an arts educator. That's what I was doing at the time, and that I'm coming into this realization. Being in rooms with people who have money, learning how to talk about money,
Yeah.
learning how to budget, learning that budgeting is an artistic practice. It's actually part of the creative process, which is a thing
Yes.
that like you are not taught in school. It's like money and budgeting and all this admin stuff is for not for artists. It's for like other, and you're like too precious to do it. And I got over that. I don't. I think that's like a false narrative. Um, so getting over that and getting comfortable with looking at money, talking about money, what do I looking at my own relationship with money.
Mhm.
Um, I think that also as well, being in those rooms, there's a lot of myths I think that were busted in my imagination,
Yeah.
Um, and I think and I know actually that one of the biggest ones is I'm in this room with folks who have wealth, and they're not really that special,
Yeah.
and they're not better,
Yeah.
and they didn't get it because they did something. A lot of the times it's inherited, it just happened. They didn't even mean it. Like all of these things that I sort of thought like, oh, they must have done something right or this, that, and the other. And I get there and it's like, none of that is true.
Mhm.
Once that became apparent to me, I was like, I'm gonna do what I want.
Exactly. And I'm going to bring my friends with me,
Yeah.
and make sure that the people who look like me get hired. You mentioned it a little bit earlier, but it's not that people who look like us aren't talented
Right.
or aren't, they just don't have someone in the room advocating for them. So it's
Right. Right.
incredible that you've been able to make those connections and be that advocate for other artists.
Right.
Yeah.
But I also advocate for myself. Like it's
Mhm.
difficult for us to advocate for
Mhm.
ourselves. I think women in general, black women, we think like,
Exactly.
oh, like wrestling with
If we deserve it.
humility versus just facts, right? Like,
Mhm.
when are you being humble and when are you letting folks take advantage of you? When are you playing it down? When are you shrinking? And that's always just like a moving target. I still work with that all the time. I just always ask myself, like, but why do you think you can't say you did blah 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 when it was you? Like, and there's real consequences to that. Obviously, it's real consequences to being one with confidence. You are targeted when that happens.
Mhm.
So it, it's always it's a process. Learning to be kind to myself is the greatest journey.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I was on that journey this morning.
Yeah,
So
I will always be in that journey.
yeah, but it's so important as
Yeah.
well because you're able to do so much with what you've done. You impact the lives of others.
Oh,
So
thank
yeah, of
you.
course. Yeah.
You never really think of it that way. It's more
Hmm.
just kind of like I want to hold this space and I want to keep growing it to hold this space. I never think of like the impact.
Yeah, don't think about it too hard though. No, so I want to talk a little bit about your films.
So yeah, shout out because this was definitely, with the support, speaking of resources of People's Media Fund and Scribe Video and the Leeway Foundation and all kinds of donors who are thanked in the film. So it's called Affordable Housing. It's a horror comedy, of course. And it's about two women who fight a monster to the death to keep their cheap apartment. So, it's based on a true story. And
Definitely. Everybody's going through that in New York right now.
everybody is
Yeah.
going through that. Yeah, it's the incredible story of a woman trying to find an affordable place to live in a big city.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
A city that culturally we built too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and it's mixed media, so that's also really exciting. I was able to work. It is like maybe I would say like 98% women of color, femme in front and behind the camera. So on set, I'm a big proponent of that. Like even the person who's holding the boom mic, who's
Yeah.
doing the sound, who's doing this, these jobs that you typically don't see women in. I love to have that and take pictures and be like, here is a woman with a piece of equipment and she knows how to use it.
Mm-hmm.
She plugged it in and turned it on. Look at that.
Yeah.
Um so
Believe it or not, and she made sure it was on and it stayed
yeah,
on.
yeah, and it was great. It was great.
Yeah.
It's directed by Eunice Levis, who's also Philly genre maker director, horror and
Mm.
sci-fi, Dominicana. Um, yeah, and it's just been great. This has been a huge undertaking. This is the biggest, most fanciest thing I've ever done.
Mm-hmm.
So, learning from other projects that I've made, where I was just like, I have a tent and a room and a bucket and we got cameras. Let's make a movie, like
Yeah.
that kind of thing. This time around, I wrote this script. I workshopped it in different rooms where they let you come in and just do roundtables and share it out. I did screenwriting competitions and then I applied for grants. Like it
Mm.
was like a very slow, I was working on other things. I forgot about it. I picked it back up again, like, so it's just like over like almost a decade of just going back and forth. And I really just committed to, I am not going to do anything until I have enough or something to begin with. And so I had raised a certain amount of funds before we even went into like development and then pre-production and, you know, production and post and all of that, and
Mm-hmm.
that was like a 2, 3 year, 2.5, so new process
Oh
'cause
wow.
mixed media, when you have illustration anime, it takes a while.
Yeah.
So it's the hugest endeavor, and it's the fanciest thing, and it's been great. Just we had some work in progress screenings last year. And now we premiered at Winter Film Festival in New York, and we're in the running for some other festivals, so we'll see where it goes. I'm definitely headed to, well, not definitely. I hope you know what I'm going to speak it into
Yeah.
existence. I'm definitely heading to to Mexico and maybe Colombia with it. If I get into the film festivals there that I applied for, so I'm very excited to be sharing it. I'm excited to share it outside of the United States as well,
Mhm.
and just tackle this with humor and with horror, uh, this housing crisis that I feel like is happening all over the globe.
Yeah. We know that it's real, but our approach to it can be unique and different and just as diverse as we are. So thank you for that intentionality that you're putting into the work and thank you for spreading that message, not just, in our neighborhoods, but really across the globe. People need to know that we're here, we're present, and we're also down to have a good time as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
always really important to me with anything that I'm doing that it's like I say black so that no one has to say it again. Like I get ahead of it. I want people to be able to talk about their work and their identity and themselves in the way that they want to, rather than it being like as a black female. That very
Exactly.
kind of like. So it's like I'm gonna say it. I'm put it in the title and say it first so that we can move past that.
Exactly, and we can get to be seen for who we actually are.
Right.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm about to ask you some rapid fire questions. Are
Okay.
you ready?
Yes, I'm very excited.
Okay. So, right on time or island time?
I'm gonna go with right on time, unless it's hot.
Ooh, okay. That's good.
And then it has to when it's cold, right
Yeah.
on time.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, jungle hike or beach hang?
Yes.
To both.
Yeah.
Hike to the beach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Yeah. Sounds like a good time. Okay. Recently roasted coffee or fresh squeezed juice?
Coffee.
Okay. This one's hard. Yuca, corn, or plantain?
Corn.
Corn. Yeah.
I'm Afro Mexicana, so corn.
Yeah, I know. I knew.
The other ones I'm like, yeah, sure.
But
If it's
corn.
there, but like
Yeah, corn.
corn.
I mean, it's really important. Okay, finally, Philly or Patria?
Yes. I want both. I want all. I want back and forth.
Mm,
I mean,
same.
I'm two things, so I guess I like everything bicultural, bilingual, so
Yeah.
bi-coastal, bi like bi.
Yeah, just buy. We wouldn't want to make you choose or
Yeah,
anything like that. And
yeah.
you don't have to choose, luckily. Salsa or bachata?
Ooh, okay, so salsa when you just wanna get down, bachata when you wanna get sexy.
I love that. I love that.
Bachata's for, like, the date.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love that. Yeah, when you're trying to like
Yeah.
impress someone but not too
Yeah, yeah,
much.
yeah.
Okay, what about your favorite horror movie?
Yeah, I go through phases, right? So it's like it kinda depends on, like, the season, the year, and all that.
Mhm.
So I would say, like, my favorite one now what did I watch recently where I was like, "This is incredible?" I just watched Talk to Her, and I was
Mm,
actually quite I did not know. I just was not ready.
yeah.
So, that one really landed with me, and then I watched this other Mexican one called Untamed.
Mhm.
Um, that was weird in an amazing way, so
Is that what you look for in like a horror film? Something that's gonna like catch you by surprise?
yeah, I love it when I start something and I'm like, "Where are you going with this?"
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
because I watch so much of it, and I
Yeah.
usually am like, "Oh, it's this person. Oh, this is gonna happen next." So whenever I watch something and I'm like, "I have no idea what they even intend to do here."
Mhm.
I love that.
Yay. Okay, and finally, like what does being Afro Mexicana mean to you?
I feel like it means I get the best of everything.
Yeah, I know, right?
That's what I feel like it just means I'm lucky. That's what
Yeah.
I think it means. So, yeah.
I love that response. And that was our rapid fire. Comment below with what you think we should ask in future rapid fire questions. We are at the incredible Julia de Burgos bookstore at Taller Puertorriqueño, and I couldn't leave without giving you some book recommendations. Are you ready for them?
I'm so excited.
So, our first book recommendation is actually a book of poetry. Do you like
I love
poetry?
poetry.
Okay, we
Yeah.
thought this book would be really fitting for you. It's
Yeah.
called Black Mestiza. Yeah, do you want to just
Yes, yes. I spotted this on the shelf actually, so I was already kind of like, "What's that?" Just this picture on the front. Yeah.
Amazing. The book is just about like mixed identity, really everything that we've talked about today.
Mhm.
And I absolutely love poetry books because it gives you the opportunity to kind of dive into the author's world
Mm.
and then, dive right back out.
Yeah.
Awesome. And then another book that we thought would be really fitting for you is La Lucha. It's a book about, yeah, like, give it
Right.
here.
Yeah. Mhm. Fight. We got to fight.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we still know that the fight is real, and there's so many incredible Latin American feminists who are putting in that work every single day. We know that Women's International Day is just around the corner, and that is a big deal in Latin America. There's always protests happening on that day. So hopefully you have time to read a little bit more about what led to that,
Mm.
and it provides a little bit of context for you.
Yeah, and also it includes text by Isabel Allende.
Yes.
And that was like one of a very influential author.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, if
Yeah.
you wanna talk about someone who really has taken Latin American identity and put it on the center stage, she is definitely
Up there,
an
yeah.
author who has done that for certain, so I'm glad that you found something that you can relate to in this book.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yes.
Speaking my language here, books.
Yeah, definitely. And hopefully, this isn't the last time that you're at this bookstore. This bookstore is open several days a week. So please check it out when you get a chance. It's a beautiful space.
Yeah.
And we're so grateful to be here today.
Yeah, I've been here a couple of times before. Bought some books for my nephew. I live in South Philly, so it's like always a bit of a trek. But when I come out here, it's great. Their exhibition right now, Riches and Santos, beautiful.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
it's a
They're
good
going to be
space.
doing incredible work throughout the exhibition space is going to be doing incredible work throughout the entire year.
Yeah.
So certainly come back.
Yeah, thank
Yay.
you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for coming today. Thank you for sharing your work with us and speaking on this identity. I know sometimes it can feel new. We're not often given the stage
Yeah.
to do this. So we just really appreciate you doing this today.
Yeah, thank you for the invitation to do it. Yeah, I don't always get to talk about being Afro-Mexicana. For a long time, I didn't even put it in my bio.
Mm.
Um, and it's just kind of one of those things where it's just like I'm tired of acting like of trying to explain, of all the things. So I'm just
Yeah.
gonna lead with it, and yeah, just sort of answering less questions and more being like, why are you asking me that question?
Exactly. Exactly. Well, thank you so much for being here today. This conversation was incredible. You can follow Wi-Moto on all of the handles on the screen here. And also you can find Diálogos on Spotify and YouTube. Be sure to check us out on intimedia.org. Share, comment, and tag us. We really appreciate the support.
AfroLatinidades Out Loud.